And thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll start with you, Ms. Argentini. First of all, thanks for your work. I think you know how important it is for me to make sure the Antitrust Division is funded, both for civil and criminal cases. Senator Grassley and I led the Merger Filing Fee Modernization Act, which passed the Senate and is starting to be implemented, and I hope it's implemented correctly. I'll leave that for another day. But could you talk about how important it is to make sure we have funding in antitrust, one, and then secondly, a more kind of in the weeds question. When the Antitrust Division recently announced deferred prosecution agreements with 2 pharmaceutical companies, the department determined that a fine was not sufficient penalty and instead required the drug companies to divest from a widely used cholesterol medicine that was a core part of the price-fixing scheme between the companies. This was the first time that the department required divestiture as part of a corporate criminal settlement. I'm not complaining about it. I know there's a lot of people complaining about things here. I just wondered if you could talk about innovative remedies such as divestiture to promote accountability and deter further corporate crimes, because I see it as a way of helping us on the price issue.
So thank you for your question. So the Department of Justice, including the Antitrust Division, are committed to enforcing all federal laws, especially to maintain the competitive environment that is so important to our economy. And so I think when you're talking about innovative remedies and divestiture, I would defer to the Antitrust Division on that specific remedy to discuss it. We in the Criminal Division have also tried to use innovative solutions in our corporate resolutions to make sure that we are changing a company's corporate culture. One example that I could point to is an historic Binance resolution, which we announced last month. Part of the resolution with the company required the CEO to step down and for them not to have any additional CEOs that had been convicted of crimes. It's a way to change the company from the top, from the tone at the top. But we are always looking for new ways to incentivize good corporate conduct across the department.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Olson, in October, Deputy Attorney General Monaco said that the biggest shift in corporate criminal enforcement is the rapid expansion of national security-related corporate crimes. The National Security Division has added more than 25 new prosecutors to meet threats from corporate crimes, from terrorist financing to sanctions evasion schemes that fund North Korea's illicit WMD programs. Can you talk about that and also that one of the most effective ways of shutting down a criminal organization is by targeting their income, as you know. The U.S. and its allies have developed a robust sanctions scheme against the regime, against the Russian government and the oligarchs who support Putin. Talk about how that's going. So really 2 questions. One is the importance of this expansion to focus worldwide on terrorist schemes, and then the work on Russia.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Senator. As the threat landscape has changed, as we're seeing increasing threats from nation states like Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, our enforcement priorities have changed. So we are increasingly focused on, as you mentioned, sanctions, evasion, violations of export control, nation-state cyber attacks, foreign malign influence. And these enforcement priorities mean that we are increasingly interacting with the private sector because they are often on the front lines of these violations. In some cases, actually as the violators, and we've brought cases against companies like British American Tobacco that evaded our sanctions against North Korea. And so what we've done is invested in those priorities by, as you mentioned, adding prosecutors to our counter-espionage, and export control section. We've added 2 experienced prosecutors to help lead this effort. But we are responding to the threats we face, and what that means is increasing efforts around these crimes that occur at the intersection of national security and the decisions that companies are making. I should add that in addition to our straight enforcement, our prosecution efforts, we also are trying to drive compliance. I think it's really important to identify the fact that companies are on the front lines and they're sometimes the first to see these violations. So they need to develop these compliance programs. Let me turn to Russia, to your second part of your question. Of course, Russia and its invasion of Ukraine is a priority for us. I was in Ukraine last month. I met with officials there. They are very determined to support our efforts to hold Russia accountable, whether that's going after oligarchs who support the Kremlin or stopping the flow of technologies that go into Russian military systems. So that's been an effective effort. We have more work to do, but we're very focused on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you both for being here. Ms. Argentieri, I got a quick question. I think you mentioned or you said that